Buying your first home can feel overwhelming. People tell you to get pre-approved, find a realtor, but nobody actually explains the process from beginning to end. So in the next 5 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the entire first-time home buyer process from the moment you decide you want to buy to the moment you get your keys. Let's jump right into it. So starting off, we're going to be looking at the 6 steps laid out very simply, starting with number 1, how much can you actually afford? This is a question for you before you ever step out and go and talk with any lender, any realtor, before you check out any other homes, before you go and open Zillow. When you're thinking about your next home purchase, you got to think to yourself, how much can I actually afford? What payment do I feel comfortable with a month making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, whatever that quantity may be for you? How much do you feel comfortable with spending on a mortgage a month? That is going to be the most important question during the home buying process, because that is going to determine what your affordability is once we're able to get pre-approved. So once you have that number in mind, whatever the case may be, you're going to go ahead and go out with a lender. So step number 2 is getting your pre-approval. Once you have that number in your mind and you're saying, okay, I have about $2,000, let's say $1,500 to about $2,000 that I have enough to be spending on my mortgage every single month. Well, that is where it gets us to the pre-approval stage. This is where a lender takes a look at your income, debts, assets, and your credit score in order to determine how much you are able to afford and what sort of programs you're able to qualify for. Some programs stem from 3.5%, 4%. It really depends on what kind of programs and properties are out there with your lenders. Once you're able to do that, you're going to go ahead and get pre-approved, which sends us to step number 3, just finding the right deal. And this is where I have a common point that I hear very often. It is, Sebastian, do I need a realtor in the first point? And I'm going to explain it very simply here. The goal of the realtor in the real estate transaction should be to guide the client to making the smartest financial decision possible. Not to sell a home, guide them through making the smartest financial decision. This will ensure that all parties leave happy. Realtor helps out the clients get their home, and then the sellers sell their home for an adequate price. Now, the criteria here should be the realtor is there to explain things and to help guide you, right? They're not going to be selling to you a marble countertop or the really expensive tiling that's in the house, because if they are, they're probably selling you something that you shouldn't be buying. Go out and you should get with someone that you trust and that is going to be explaining these steps. Okay? So once you find that realtor, you're actually going to then start touring homes, okay? You're going to start touring homes all the way up to step number 4. You see, you're not going to start, a lot of people are going to tell you that you got to start touring as soon as you don't even get pre-approved, you just start touring homes. And the drawback to that is that when it comes to making an offer, just step number 5, you're not going to have as much leverage to get your property, your desired property. Why? Because it's going to come to the point where, let's say that buyer A and buyer B get to a property that they desire, right? And let's say that we're buyer A with no pre-qualification. Then we have buyer B with a pre-qualification. Whenever these 2 offers come out to a seller, you see what sort of point I'm trying to illustrate here. You are going to be less of a buyer, less equipped in order to make a stronger financial decision because you didn't get pre-approved before touring homes. And this is why touring homes is actually step number 4, and it's actually not the first step in the process. Once you actually start touring those homes, you're going to be looking at a lot of places. You're going to look at a lot of homes that, hey, some of them are not going to ring a bell, but then finally you'll find that one where the one on you want to make an offer. And since you were pre-approved, since you knew your budget since the beginning, when it gets to that point, your realtor will go ahead and do the job for you. And that's when you should put in an offer. Step number 5 is putting in your offer. So what do we have so far? Let's recap so far. First, step number 1, you think about how much money you can put down to a mortgage. Okay, so that's the step number one. How much can I actually put down on a mortgage every single month? Step number two, once you have that number, you're going to go out with a lender and get pre-approved. That's where they're going to go and take a look at your income, your debts, your assets, your credit. Step number three, you'll find a realtor that's going to help you find the right deal. It's going to be searching for different criteria, different locations, different beds, different baths. What makes sense for you? You're going to start touring homes. That's step number four. Step number five is making your offer. That is all leading up to getting pre-approved and putting in the offer. Once you're after that point, that's when a lot of the behind the scenes starts happening. Escrow, inspections. That's when you're going to start getting in touch with the title company, hiring inspectors to make sure that there are no uncovered goods at your property. That there is no hidden HVAC that doesn't work, or that there is no mold up in the ceilings, stuff along those lines. If you found this video helpful and are wanting to learn more about the home buying process, then make sure to click subscribe and comment any other things that are of your interest for the first time home buying process. I'll make sure to answer them in the next coming videos. See you soon.